everybody. We're a little bit late starting, but there's a reason behind that. So thank you all for attending. Welcome to the June edition of the Parish Council meeting. Before we start, I'd like to say that the intention is to finish this meeting tonight by 9 o'clock at the latest. My own opinion is that meetings that last more than 2 hours will often have items being discussed where people are ready for home, maybe not give it the right attention. And actually, my intention as chair is to eventually get the full council meeting down to 90 minutes. You will see some of the agenda items tonight will link into that quite nicely, in my opinion, although it's for the council to discuss and decide. So without further ado, we'll start. 27076 is to receive any apologies for absence.
Just do that.
No trick. 27077 is to make any declarations of interest.
So I declare interest in 27092 and 27072 because I'm an elected member of Derbyshire County Council.
Mine will be the planning application HPK 2026-0210 Brendan Hall.
Thank you. Any more? Any more? So, 27078 to consider any applications for dispensation. We shall move them on. 27079 to determine which items, if any, from the agenda should be taken with the public excluded. If the Parish Council decides to exclude the public, it will be necessary to pass a resolution in the following terms. To consider a resolution under the Public Bodies Admissions to Meetings Act 1960, Section 1, to exclude members of the press and public in order to discuss item number such. This item will be then discussed with the press and public excluded. Do any of you have anything that you would like to put our way? I've got one that I'd like to discuss. 27085. So consider the quotes received from businesses offering specialist services which will seek to improve the way the council operates and deal with the underlying issues. 3 quotes attached. Well, I think the 3 quotes are considered to be commercially sensitive at this moment in time, and that I would ask that we put that into part 2. Has anybody got any disagreement with that? In agreement?
So I would agree with that, but my one worry is that if you put it toward the end of the agenda, you're never going to get it. So are you going to fix a time at which we will go into part 2?
I am. With the council's backing, yeah.
Well, I agree to that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so thank you very much. Okay.
Jason,
Sorry.
I was going to ask you if that 27099, the feedback from the annual parish meeting, could be brought forward to when you do all your minutes of meetings, and such that it doesn't get lost in the grand scheme of it, in case anything came up. I know I wasn't here, but if anything comes up that requires attention now and not leaving till next year, because it is minutes of a meeting.
In fairness, Stuart, we will get to that. But first of all, let's do 27080, which is to agree any variations of order of business. So we will get to that. So, has anybody got any variations?
Yeah, just to pick up on what Nigel suggested, and we agreed just now,
Okay.
that to bring that item forward at a specific time, so it's...
So what I would propose is, because I've got a number of proposals actually. So if you bear with me, has anyone else got proposals? No? Good. So, okay, right, so we've said tonight that by 9 o'clock the meeting will be done. We've all agreed. So there are two really important agendas on here as far as I can see. One of them is the AGAR and one of them is the one we've just spoken about that we've accepted that we'll move into the admissions to meetings act. So I suggest that those two are the final two things that we discussed tonight, and we need to start discussing those no later than 8:15.
Right.
That gives us sufficient time to move through the agenda, discuss things properly. I'm not in any rush to complete the rest of this agenda. What doesn't get seen tonight will not get seen until the next meeting. The other thing I'd like to say is that obviously we've got the agenda items that Jill needs to have heard initially, the running of the council. Thereafter, we can take our pick. But once we've got past where Jill is, I would like to, you have to bear with us, we've got several pieces of paper. I would like, where possible, to, once we start going into the agenda, 27091 is the formation of committees, followed that by 27065, which is who should be on those committees, 27067, which is a motion from Councillor Chandler, and 27090 is the SOP and RAG item from there. All of those are connected. So if possible, with the committee's agreement, we can do one, then the other, then the other, then the other. And I think you'll see why when we get to that point in time. Right.
Can I suggest though,
Of course you
moving forward, should we limit the amount of things which are on the agenda? Because sometimes there's so many things that never get seen at the end and they just keep rolling over. So if we limit it to say like 25 items per meeting and then have,
I actually think that's a really special point, that, because I think you'll see tonight, I've given this some thought, and the intention is to actually reduce the length of these full council meetings. The agenda needs to be more manageable. Items that are on there need to be discussed properly, in depth if needed, and not in a rush against the clock. So some of the things that I'm going to share with you tonight, some ideas I want you to consider, and I'll tell you why I'm asking you to consider it, but I think you might see there's method in my madness. But yeah, I know it's a point really well made. Right, so don't think there's any more. Oh, 27052, Jill. That's to consider whether to update the neighbourhood plan. I think we said we've referred that to Jill since July. And there are a couple of other agenda items that we will be able to link together as we move through them. And again, when I get the opportunity to speak to you, hopefully you'll see how. Right. Okay, so that's the variation business number 27081. If the police officer were to attend to consider any police matters, unfortunately, we have no police officers, and we haven't got a report as it stands, so there's nothing there to discuss. 27082, public participation. Up to 10 minutes will be made available for members of the public to raise matters relevant to the business of the parish council. A, members of the general public. B, county and borough councillors. In the absence of none of those, Nigel, have you got anything you wish to say in that role?
No.
Okay, so one you. So, 27083 is to approve the minutes of the annual council meeting on the 5th of May 2025, I suspect that should be. Am I wrong?
No.
Oh,
No,
No.
it's the wrong month written on it. It says April, it should be May on the printed sheet I got.
Says May, just May.
Is it 5th of May?
Does that not say April on mine?
Mine's April. I think that's the attachment.
Mine says May.
Oh,
Is that, did you print that out or you given that?
I was giving it.
Right, so that's the one that went out with the, I printed this one off.
Okay, right, so,
Don't worry, doesn't matter, yeah.
not the end of the world, no, to approve the minutes of the annual council meeting held on the 5th of May. So, have you all read them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and has anybody got anything you wish to share?
I think they're accurate, but I would say when it came to the vote on, or the discussion in relation to mediation, it was a unanimous decision, which isn't reflected in the minutes. It was, from memory, we agreed it, everybody agreed it. It was unanimous by those of us that were there. There were only 5 councillors, if you recall, at the actual meeting, and we all voted in favour of it. So it gives a bit of weight to it.
Yeah, there was 6 of you. Can you refer me to the item?
Yeah, I've got a copy of it. I just read it before I came out.
Yeah.
It was the one which was fairly early on. It was looking, it was
27055.
27055.
Yep.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Following discussion, it was agreed that councillors were in favour of engaging a specialist in this area, but that more quotes should be obtained. Well, that's of course absolutely true. Unanimously agreed, because the strength of feeling was absolutely, we need to do this.
Okay. Noted. Thank you. Any further? Stuart.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't here, but the very last one, 27076, it was further resolved that during the next 12 months, meetings will be held at the Bowls and Coombe.
Yeah.
Well, that was a complete not a waste of time last time, because nobody turned up in Coombe. Nobody turned up down at Chinley. The only one that anybody did turn up with was Dove Holes. The weather isn't brilliant, and if we were to hold one in Dove, we should decide when, because it would need publicising and they would need to know. It's all right us resolving it, but there's no dates or when or whatever with it. It sort of stops in mid-flight.
Yes, I mean, we agreed it. That was an agreement. We didn't, it's not a matter of debate. Those of us that were present agreed it.
Yeah, it says there, it was resolved that during the next 12 months, so the period of time is stated, it's just that the meeting dates haven't been.
No,
So yeah, so it's.
because it's when whatever's available, and I consider, well, I wouldn't have voted it for all of them. I might have voted for Dove, but not Coombe and
Right,
White.
well, we had a good turnout at the Dove Holes Community Association
We did.
2 or 3 years ago, so that's going to be one venue, and the other one is going to be determined, and somebody to turn up for Coombe's.
I think the point is that we have to give people the opportunity. If they don't have the opportunity, they can't complain that we aren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a decision that was taken. So
I was just asking about when, though, that was the other thing.
That's right. So your observation's been noted, Stuart,
Thank you.
and we will fix dates in the next few weeks.
Because they need to know as well.
Well, absolutely, we're aware.
It's not fair on them.
No. Yes, please, Tom.
Yeah, 27050, the police matters one. I wasn't here, but Karen Green was here. The only disappointing thing is that we were, as councillors, wanting to start to get a feeling of trends, so that we could see the way things were going. Sometimes we felt it was high, sometimes was it low, and it's just a shame that we've now not got the next figures, which leaves a break. And I don't know whether, it says here more detailed breakdown of the good figures. I'm not sure what that.
Oh, that's the bit below it.
Oh right, okay, so that, okay, I get you, yeah. Was there any mention about trends at all as she was talking? Because that was one of the key things that I wanted to get out of this, was to see what we were experiencing over a period of time. So perhaps if we could ask, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Please. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so
Jason, Jason.
Can I just add
Oh,
on to
sorry,
that?
Kelly, yeah.
A while ago we spoke about making arrangements with Chief Inspector Woodhouse to come in. I think it'd be worth to do that because I think we get all the information without waiting. because she heads the whole Safer Neighbourhood Policing team for Derbyshire. And she's prepared to come and tell us about all the new changes to the Safer Neighbourhood teams and what they're working on. I don't know if you want me to try and arrange something with the Jill for next month. Probably need to.
The only thing is we lost neighbourhood, the Highfield Public House which come for the neighbourhood plan. Could we have 2 lots?
I don't see what happened. I don't see what happened. Thanks, Michaela. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, so where are we now? We received the chair's report.
Have we approved those minutes then?
Sorry.
I'll second.
So
Yeah,
that's
I'm putting them forward.
Councillor Hills.
Proposed.
Opposed, and Councillor Grant is seconded. Thank you, everybody. Got myself there, didn't I? Yes. 27084 to receive the chair's report. Well, there's not really much for me to tell you. After my first month, it's a lot for anyone to be chairman of the parish council whilst you're working, looking after 2 boys. It's a task, and it's not something I'm going to be able to pull off on my own. I am going to need everybody around this table to play their part. That's everybody, staff, councillors. It's a big ask, but I'm prepared to take it on. There were 2 things that I've attended in my role currently. One was the Friends of Chapel Parish Station, and they had a booklet launch, and I'd have to say that the booklet is absolutely fantastic, and it's really worth having a look at. I believe they are FOC. They're available in the library, at Chapel Station, and from Sue Murdoch. And we've got some, brilliant. And our contribution was that we allowed them to use our OS licence. And the walks are predominantly lower level, so they're accessible by everybody. You see, it's a splendid document, and I was glad I went. The second one was the annual parish meeting. That was happened quite quickly on last Wednesday, and alongside me, Phil and Tony met the members of the public. We are in the process of putting our thoughts together into a minute sheet that will be shared with everybody. So that's that. But what I would want to do is just want to read this little letter I've got for you. So first of all, I'd like to thank the councillors, maybe, that nominated me to serve as chair of Chapel-en-le-Frith Parish Council, and I'm genuinely honoured, stroke reluctant, to take on this role. Before we look to the future, I think it's important to reflect on what this council and the town have been through over the past 7 years. It's been a difficult period, and at times the council has operated under a cloud of uncertainty with ongoing legal issues surrounding the mugger and the rovers. That situation has taken a significant toll, not just on the council, the councillors, but on the wider community. Before moving on, I want to acknowledge the 3 previous chairs who have led the council during this time. The first person will be obviously Councillor Young, who stepped in when there was a mass resignation, and without you, we wouldn't have kept the council going, so it was greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Jason.
The second one is, the second and third are obviously Councillor Chandler and Councillor Dales, both who have spent an enormous amount of their time and energy trying to steer this council through what has been an exceptionally challenging, complex situation. So thank you very much from me to yourself, Tony.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
the reality is that mistakes have been made, and the mistakes have ultimately left the council in court facing a costly legal proceeding. And in the end, the local taxpayers, including some of the councillors, all the councillors, they've had to contribute to a six-figure sum to help resolve this matter and protect the council's position. And that is a sobering figure. 6 figures, and one that we should never ever forget. And I think that's important that we do accept that. Throughout this process, residents have understandably wanted answers. Transparency is one of the 7 known principles of public life, and people were entitled to know what was happening. Unfortunately, we don't have to put copies of any of this. You have to keep up, sorry. And people were entitled to know what was happening. Unfortunately, because the matter was before the courts, there were legal limits on what could be said publicly. I appreciate that this has been frustrating for them, and many people may have been left with a sense of distrust and dissatisfaction, and that's something that I'm keen to try and repair. Thankfully, we are now nearing the end of that chapter, and for the first time in a long time, we have the opportunity to move forward and focus fully on the future of the town. The dark clouds are moving, blue skies amongst us. The future rests with 13 councillors, all volunteers who have stepped forward because they care about Chapel-en-le-Frith and they want to make a difference. We won't always agree, but that's healthy. Different views and constructive challenge are part of good local government, but we all share a common responsibility to act in the best interests of the residents that we serve. Chapel-en-le-Frith is a town with a proud history and wants a strong community spirit. It deserves a council that's open, accountable and focused on getting the basics right. 2026 may not be a year of major projects or headline-grabbing spending, but it can be a year in which we rebuild confidence, strengthen ourselves and lay the groundwork for the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead, particularly as local government moves towards a new unitary structure. And so as Chair, my commitment is straightforward. I will do my best to ensure this council conducts its business fairly, lawfully and transparently. I will treat every councillor, member of staff with respect, but I will encourage open and honest debate and always remember that our role is to serve the community. We cannot change the past is a statement I've heard a lot on this council. That might be true, but we can and we should learn from it. And if we work together with integrity, common sense and a shared determination to do what is right, I believe we can restore trust and make this council something our residents can be proud of. So that's my statement as your chair. I'll reiterate thanks to the previous chairs, and I'll reiterate, I'd like to add my thanks to the staff that have also been involved in the admin and the court visits of the court case. So thank you very much. So regards anything else, there's not much more for me to say, but I can't do this without you. It's a team game, and let's move forward together. Right, so that's 27 or 84 done.
Jason,
Yes.
did you also want to mention about Saturday, about the honorary gentleman that's fighting?
Thank you very much for the reminder. Yeah. So I would actually just like to take this opportunity to wish Jack Massey all the very best in his next professional fight. Now, Jack is an honorary freeman of the parish, and yeah, I think that's important that we do show our support. If you don't mind, that would be great. Okay, so 2784 done, 27085. Okay, so for 27085, I'd like to consider a resolution with Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, Section 1, to exclude members of the press public in order to discuss this item. This item will be discussed when the press and public is excluded. So we're gonna do that as the last one tonight. Okay. Okay, right. 27086. Right, okay. To consider planning applications notified to the Parish Council. So, have we all looked at the planning applications? And have any of us got any objections? No.
This one and the next one, obviously, are next door neighbours, as you might say, and it's at 2019 and 21, and as long as they're building it out of what the materials are that they used on the Horseshoe estate, there isn't actually a problem with it because other people have done it already. You know, other people have set a precedent, so as long as it's made out of materials to match, that's what I tell you, when it comes to it, I don't think anybody in there will have any problems.
No.
I don't think we've heard, and I've not heard anything of you two, have you?
No.
No.
So nobody's against it?
No.
So we're all in favour for that one, and I suspect 19 Horseshoe Avenue would follow the same principles. Stuart, thank you very much for that input. And then HPK 2026-0163, reconsultation raised for Walton House Cottage on Road Knuckles Road to Colgar. Have you all looked at this? Any objections?
That's going to be resubmitted
Yeah,
because she spelled Brady wrong.
I was just going
I
to
sent
that.
her, I sent
Have you?
her, I sent her a
I
WhatsApp.
didn't know if that was actually.
No, she spelled it wrong. She put it right in the one to the Borough Council,
Right,
to us, so she will
So
be,
she has to resubmit.
she's going to resubmit it.
Okay, so we do not need to discuss that
No.
now.
And you probably will want to discuss it when it comes to it,
Yeah,
because of it,
yeah,
and where it is, and trying to get into it.
yeah, okay, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Any planning appeals? No? No planning appeals? To comment on any planning decision notices this evening? Any planning decision notices today?
There's one refused on 13 Woodside Road and we approved all as small.
And they asked why the one on Brookside was refused.
Wanting that to look. In case I'm lying to you, because I do it.
For learning purpose, if we know why it was refused.
Yeah, they've started putting them in once a month now in the advertiser for Peak Park and once a month for High Peak Borough, and it just says refused. But like you say, you've got to look to try and find out why it was refused. It doesn't tell you.
No. It's important to us as a committee, we know
You know
that.
that.
I don't think.
Advertiser needs all the copy.
Does anyone read it?
There's not very much worth reading in.
It's all online now, isn't it?
While I'm just doing that, so
Looking for news.
okay, so while Emma's searching for that, we'll we are going to, the second to last item will be 27089, so we're just going to jump past that.
Well, just while we're on planning, Jason, while we're just looking and seeing,
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't here, because I said, I did mention it to you, it was in the advertiser, another thing,
Yeah.
and it's in other forms of that, about them building like a tennis court in the Volds from this paddle, whatever they're doing at Storer's Farm. Have you seen anything about it?
No, in the advertiser.
Did you? Because I don't recall having it. Well,
No,
that's probably why I've not been here.
It's been free.
I think it's in this week's advertisement.
Oh, right.
Built an
Yeah.
issue, eh?
Yeah.
Storer's, is it Storer up at the farm?
Oh.
Well, where he has his car garage stuff, they couldn't use a field or something there. And it's going to be a business.
Okay, so just, so Brookside was turned down because,
By virtue of its site and height and proximity to the common boundary within the political.
the height, the size, and the proximity to the supply.
It'll probably be less than like a metre away from the boundary or something and over 4 metres.
Stuart, would you like to comment on that?
Well,
Will you piece of biscuits?
we don't have to look at the moment. I'm assuming, like they said, because it's overshadowing the property next door. And it's either too high or too close to the boundary. The way they've written that.
Right, okay. So that's privacy, right to light, all those things can be.
Well, you don't get right to light, but it'll be privacy and if there was any windows in the, yeah, so they obviously weren't happy with the plans.
Right, okay.
Of the
It has to be
gateway.
more than a metre away from your neighbour's boundary, and it has to be less than 4 metres, I think, in height.
And it's 21, what's it, with the habitable windows and that.
Yeah, that's it.
Got some knowledge on that. That's handy to know. Right, okay, so we're gonna jump to 27090 on the agenda. However, this sort of ties into my changes. So okay, so I'd like to come back to 27090 as the last one of the four that I discussed. So 27091. This is my proposal. I am aware that we are a large town council, and as such, there's a lot that goes into being a councillor, being members of the staff, and in the past what we've tried to do is we've tried to condense the number of meetings that we hold and bring everything to the full council meeting, which has extended it longer and longer and longer. So my proposal would be, with a slight amendment to this actually, but is that we reinstate the amenities, the planning, town hall and finance, but the slight amendment there may be that the town hall becomes its own committee and the finance becomes a separate committee. It's to be discussed. Personnel, and then the last one is community/communication and new projects. Now, I think it's about sharing the load, and when we go through some of these other agenda items in a minute or two, you'll see where I'm coming from. We need to be more active. We need to take some of the load away from our paid staff where we can, and see if we can reach for the stars and make things better for the community. So that's my proposal. If any of you have got any objections, please raise your hand. Thank you, Nigel.
So I'd go along with the idea of reinstating the committees. I've always thought that Town Hall and Finance was detracting from both of them. That Finance sits much better with personnel, because personnel is one of these committees that meets occasionally and tends to get forgotten about. If it was part of finance, then you've got the whole management function under one roof. Whereas Town Hall is going to be a very busy committee with the amount of work that needs done to the physical fabric of this building, and the last thing you want to be doing is talking about management accounts. You know, the formatting of, you know, how you report to the council. It will detract from what should be setting tenders and approving quotes.
So that's anybody else got anything you'd like to say?
I actually quite strongly disagree with putting those two committees into one, finance and personnel. The personnel budget is quite large, and I feel like it's a case of marking your own homework if it's all in one committee. I feel that, you know, we're in a position where it needs a little bit more due diligence, and that needs to be run past several sets of eyes, acknowledging that some of the same people may appear on both committees. My counter to that might be that actually the finance perhaps needs to be a separate one, but what I would like to see included in maybe in that town hall or in the amenities is actually health and safety mentioned as part of the committee name. I think it's something that we actually underestimate as a council. Some of the things that we could be very highly exposed to, and I think it should be actually captured within, specifically within one of those committees.
Right. Yeah, no, of course, being a safety, health and safety is absolutely paramount. do we need it in a title, or do we need it in the...
Well, we just need to be clear where it
Be a return to reference for the
Yeah,
committee.
I think so, yeah. So we've got a number of proposals. Obviously, 27091 is exactly what I brought. So, sorry. Right.
Stuart's before me.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I was like Phil in respect to what you'd said there, Nigel, in the respect of the town hall and finance. I do think there need to be two separate committees. I wouldn't put finance with personnel because of past experiences and everything. Yes, we used to have all these as separate committees previously, because the finance, I think, should be a standalone committee, because with the finance one, you expect, or it's part of the job, that the responsible finance officer, being Jill, the clerk, whoever's there, would actually attend that one, because monetary is done separate because of, obviously, finances, and personnel doesn't need somebody from staff to attend it as such, because you could be talking about anybody in part two, it could be any of the staff or anything like that, and that should be standalone in itself in case anything happens with grievances or whatever. So I would actually keep those two separate a little bit, and that's probably given a better reason, further up down the line reason than Phil said, so if that helps.
It does. Okay, so 27091. So that's my agenda item. That's what I proposed. Now we've had two. Sorry. Mike.
Yeah, I think personnel needs to function differently. Without dwelling on it, we've had 5 resignations in the last year from personnel. 5 councillors resigned, and only left 2 of us, and we weren't even quorate at the last meeting. Personnel has been an unmitigated disaster, as you know, over the last 3-4 years, for one reason or another. People come and go. All right, we've had a very unusual set of circumstances that are now behind us largely. I actually think personnel could, because it's also involved in the investigation process, nominating people to do investigations, grievances and so forth and such like, which won't go into here, but it's a complicated legal process which involves external intervention and advice. And that needs to be thought through differently. I think we need to link into external support for personnel, because some of what's gone on with personnel and some of the people who are no longer around has been not great. I think it's fair to say, and extremely counterproductive, and has added to the confusion, friction and difficulties between councillors and staff. We need to think it through properly and get external advice. So I think before we just load people into it or ask people if they want to be involved in it, we need to think through how it's going to function and under what circumstances.
Understand. So I'll come back to that. 2026 is the year of positivity. We are going to do things completely different. We are going to pull together. We are going to be a team. I would suspect that as volunteers on a personal committee, we would be able to take it to a certain point in time, and then after that you would have to reach out into the legal profession. And I don't think that's something that we've practiced on as much as we could have done, given that we pay £90 a month. I think it is to Castle Social. Yeah. So I've heard everything that everybody said. However, we have still got a motion on the table, so someone's give me a second. No,
Well, obviously
that's mine. So we've got a couple of amendments that
you've got the amendments
that have been tabled. So Nigel's.
I'm happy to go with Phil's idea of just having town hall and finance separate.
Okay.
Yes.
So the motion then is to adopt amenities planning, personnel, community communication and new projects, town hall and finance as a separate. Yeah, so
there'll be
6 committees.
Yeah. No. There was one thing else I was going to say, which was the separate one of planning. I can understand the logic of going back to a separate planning committee, but I just want to remind us that the reason we're discussing it now, is that nobody turned up. And we weren't able to make planning decisions because we weren't quorate. There were so many times that councillors either didn't show up or didn't want to show up, and that planning committees had to be cancelled with it. And so we trialled it, and it's worked because we've got through our business quite quickly in this format. And I think if we go, my personal opinion, And I realise it's democracy and we may well go back to a planning committee. It's also about how much people are prepared to give, how many days of the week they're prepared to, evenings they're prepared to give up meetings when they've got other things going on in their lives.
No,
And I think it's a balance.
I do appreciate that. I know what you're saying, Mike, but ultimately, what we're doing is that if we get particularly heavy planning applications on a full council, that can take up a large chunk of this night. And what that does is it detracts from other things that need to be discussed properly. Now, I do hear that there weren't enough people, so when we form these committees, which is the next point that we're going to discuss, that has to bear that in mind. You know, there are certain people here who've got knowledge of the planning world. Stuart's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think we need to tap into our skill sets. So yeah.
As a statutory consultee, I was going to say we should have a separate planning committee, but actually, after hearing Mike, maybe we should carry on the way that we're doing it, and then when we have a big planning application or an issue that requires more time, then have an extraordinary meeting.
I was going to say the same thing as Nick's just said, really.
So there are town parish councils that have a quite complicated system of delegation, so that they have a clerk or an assistant clerk that can respond to routine planning applications with simply an opinion on the neighbourhood plan on behalf of the council. Then when controversial items come, they can either go to a planning committee, should the chairman of the planning committee wish it, or in controversial or sizes of development over a certain size, they can escalate that to the full council. So it can be written into the terms of reference of the planning committee,
Yeah.
so that we can save some of the workload here.
Yeah.
And to be honest, many councillors do not read planning documents. So, although Stuart does, I think if you had a tighter group of people who are all reading the documents, you'd come to much more intelligent decisions.
Well, if I may speak, Jason, with that for you on the planning one, under our rules and regulations, the planning one has always been a separate committee, so we've done what Mike said and that. And if you were wanting to move forward, everybody can be given plenary powers, the planning committee can be given plenary powers to decide what the committee or whoever is on the committee is saying on behalf of the council. If there is, as long as a quorate, which on a smaller committee is only 3 anyway, so you wouldn't have to particularly hold it at night, you could hold it in an afternoon if people were available around like that. It's a case of, you've just done 2 there, I was going to use as an example, 19 and 21 horseshoe, like you just said, Nigel. If you've got 3 people sat there looking at those, you know full well that everybody else is not going to complain, as long as you've spoken to the ward councillor and hasn't found out that whether there's anything there, so those could virtually go straight through. It wouldn't take long as a planning committee, and you could just get away with sitting in probably the office with Emma, who has to respond. The only thing with it is getting it in time, because there's a time scale, to get it in time for the borough council when they have their planning meetings. You would have to work the calendar of dates out just to be in time with theirs.
Okay.
So it's just, you know, and if anybody wanted to come and speak, they can come.
I do hear you, Stuart. One more from Nick, and then I'll carry on.
Well, just quickly, were you saying then that actually what you do is potentially Emma or Jill has the ability just to respond to a planning application on behalf without the committee meeting, and we meet as and when we actually need to? Yeah, love it if you're happy with that. You like planning?
Sorry, just a question.
With reference to
Because I'm not averse to it at all. Actually, I think it's a very good. My only concern is the gatekeeping between what gets discussed within that forum and what doesn't.
Phil, would
That's the only...
would it be just intelligent to say, let's give the planning committee
They
the
don't need
possibility
to scope
to
something.
write their
Yes.
terms of reference,
Yes.
looking at places like Matlock Town Council.
Right, okay, so
So I'm not averse to it, it's just about the rule setting.
what's been discussed there, but I'm actually none the wiser. 27091 is actually no longer on the table, so I need somebody to give me an amended agenda, a motion that we can vote on, please.
I think Phil's idea of amenities planning, town hall, finance, personnel and community.
Yeah.
6 committees.
Yeah. Right, all in favour? Okay, so that's carried. Okay, so thank you very much. So 27091, so 27065 is to consider which councillors wish to sit on each committee until the next annual meeting. Are we ready, ladies? Is that all of you ready to
Sorry, pedantic, but what we've just agreed didn't include comms.
You did.
Because it's written down community new projects and comms.
Communication.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine, that's fine.
He altered
Community
that.
communications and new projects, right. So, councillors wishing to sit on the amenities, please.
Question of mine.
Yeah. We've got 5 there. So, Phil,
Oh, Chris,
so
sorry, I couldn't see.
Nick and Chris. That's 5. That works. Martin, come on.
How many do you want us to sit on?
All of them. No. So,
Can I ask a quick question before we get to this? Okay, and I'll end up asking to you a bit. Are we able to, as a committee, potentially within our terms of reference, say that when we agree, we can meet on Teams or Zoom? Does
No.
the method or mode
it has to be.
Only if you're working group.
No.
I'm going to make a suggestion. Sorry. I'm going to make a suggestion that might help things along. That everyone's on every committee that we have lead. That way we can cover all our bases at any time, so that we can always be called and call people in. That we have lead people for each committee. It has been floated around before.
Maybe 5 lead people.
Pardon?
Maybe 5.
Yeah. So, okay.
You just have to sort out on your terms of reference of it. Like I said, you need to say that officially, Mike, because it's a case of who has the voting powers and who doesn't.
So
That's what the
up to
plenary
5,
powers are
yeah,
about.
up to 5.
Yeah.
You can nominate up to 5, so have a vote. And then,
Yeah,
okay.
because that's where you'd end up with your chair and your vice chair and the 3 others, which
So
gives you
we've
a
got 5
balanced
people
vote.
in the amenities. Who's going to do the planning?
I don't mind doing planning. If you lower numbers, I know quite a bit about planning, so
Oh dear.
yeah,
Brilliant.
so
So
that's
that's
no problem.
Mark, Nick, Chris and Stuart. And I will turn up as and when I can. So that's good. So, Town Hall. So we've got quite a large list of projects for the Town Hall. We've got water ingress, slates missing, rotten windows, the building needs a lot of love and attention. There's going to be quite a bit of time involved in that.
I'd be absolutely the wrong person for that. I'd be better off for the others, but I'd be absolute crap for that.
Okay, right, you'll do Town Hall, I will do Town Hall, Chris will do Town Hall, Nick will do Town Hall, and I will float.
I float on that one occasionally if you do town hall, but can't commit to it all
Sorry,
the time.
Michaela, you
I'll do
do
10.
Town Hall as well, will you? Right, okay, so Michaela, so that's,
So I'll take you off town hall, maybe.
well, I'm a floater. I'm
I'm speaking to 5
Can you
people.
agenda
per
items?
committee.
Okay, so that's Town Hall. Finance. Should have a load on this one. Finance. Right, Stuart. Bill. Nigel. One more. Chris. Yeah, this is personnel?
Sure, at the moment, but not.
Oh,
Just
just
two
two.
of us at the moment.
Right. Two HR degrees.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Oh, good. So that's Mike, Chris. Don't all put your hands up at once. It's important. Michaela, 3.
Why are we all looking so
No, not yet.
interesting about it?
Right, okay, so again, I'll be uploaded. So we've got 4, we've got 3. If you think about it after this meeting and you decide you want to throw your name into that for any of these, please do.
I'd be afloat on that one point.
Yeah, well, so we can both also. Yeah. Okay, so, and the final one is community, communications and new projects. Hands up, please.
It
Okay.
used to be called regeneration in the ground. Council.
Yeah, we should have that thing, yeah, so- Okay.
Financial. No, not finance.
Oh, well, that's what you
Hey,
want.
You did say, yeah.
Yeah, no chance.
Right, that's amazing, thank you very much. And of course, when you put your name forward for a committee, it's important we try to attend as many as we possibly can. And with us all being voted on, we should get through this one.
Can I just ask, Melissa, could you do one more? Because you may put yourself open for one.
You don't have to put your stick
Shouting around the
What?
have a think
I
about it.
have got
Well,
loads
no,
of the meetings, you see. I do a lot of the meetings in it, and it's trying to
Maybe you'll do it, but
I
I'll have a meeting, so it'd be good if you put yourself up for another one, in my opinion.
mean, I'll go on the planning.
Just do a flow chart, I'll just do a flow chart.
Okay.
I'm just going to do a flow chart this town hall.
I'll just fill my diary up. I'll go to sleep.
Right, okay.
Who wants to
So we've got committee role populated, which is great, to step forward. Now, 27067.
Sorry, Chair, I think you said it's got 27064 there, haven't you?
We have, yeah, that's good now, sorry. Yeah, brilliant.
Looking at that down here.
That's done, yeah. Right, so 27067 is the motion from the Council of Chapel. Delegated powers and decision making should be returned to the individual committees to allow efficient decision making without all items needing to go to full council for decisions. I have an amendment that I wish to add to that, but I want to listen to the council first.
Okay.
Chris?
First, I wholeheartedly support this motion because I think that the danger is if we have everything being referred back to full council, we risk micromanaging and depowering the committees, and that is disincentivises them, and they'll give up on doing their job. And I think that we need to give them the job to do. They need to accept the responsibility and carry it out. As long as that happens, that is the way it should work.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Noted. Stuart, your hand up.
Yeah, I'm saying, I don't disagree with the motion,
Right.
in the respect of, now we're going back to how it used to be, as you might say, like with amenities and that. The day-to-day running of things in the park, I would just think we should think long and hard about putting a price to what that is, that they can delegate monetary side, because if you just want a new bulb or a new tyre for the tractor or whatever, and things like that, the office staff and everything deal with most of that stuff anyway. And if it's something that's only small that the committee's dealing with, that's quick and easy, why can't they get on with it as long as we've got a price to it? That's...
Noted. Next one, anybody else? Right, so my amendment. Sorry, Nigel.
The issue is money, isn't it?
Yeah.
So does this mean essentially we are devolving spending power to these committees based on budget heads?
Well, if you will, my amendment here is that I'd like to take Councillor Champnell's motion and I'd like to amend it, and I'd like to say that we delegate powers and decision making into the individual committees up to £1,500, providing that the council can afford that for 6 months. It's a 6 months idea. Let's do it for 6 months. Small projects, some small wins around town if we can afford it. It still says there's money in that budgetary head, as Nigel's alluded to, then we can crack on. It's an idea. I've not got all the answers. That would be my amendment, is that we would devolve some of the power back into these committees with a £1,500. Nigel.
So the town hall has got a budget of £95,000, of which the town hall committee will be able to spend £1,500.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point. One I've obviously not considered in the short time I've been in the seat. However, make it. What second look?
Yeah, but that's any big spend you'd expect to come back to
Yeah,
full
you
council.
But you've got 20 or 30 grand on the roof.
You would bring that to full council.
But if it's a couple of slates that's going to be 150 quid,
I just want to either, you know, what these councils are going, what these committees are going to do if they don't have the spending power of their budget heads, or where this 1,500 quid is going to come from in terms of the budget line if it's not passed by those budget heads.
well, should we not really
That's
have
the
the
discussion
RSO where
that
we
we
stand?
needs to have with the clerk. I hear what you're saying, but again, if £1,500, you know, we haven't got copious amounts of money at this moment in time. We're still, you know, coming out of the situation regarding the court case. We want to be seen, we want to be present in the town. We want to seem to be supporting people. If you want to change that amount to 3,000, 5,000, it's up to, it's not my decision to make. I brought an amendment to Mike's motion.
I'm happy to stand out and go with your idea. Actually, I think it's a good idea of setting a budget ceiling on whatever that is, whatever we consider to be. I think it's a good idea, Jason. Well done. I also think that Nigel is bang right when it comes to the town hall, because it's not about, it's for each item discussed would be the way, because there's going to be a number of things within the town hall budget where £1,500 for different agenda items would work far more realistically. In fact, I would like to move that figure up to 3,000. What brought this to my mind was the farce about the vehicle, how long it's taken to get a vehicle being bounced around in a park, and it's become almost a standing joke that it's come from one area to another, to another, to another, and we still haven't got one. And so, to avoid that sort of thing, just make a planning decision.
Right, okay. So your amendment then would be
You suggested 1,500, you suggested
3,000.
Yeah.
Right, so Phil.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite a dangerous amount of money to be throwing around at the moment based on the amount of control we need to get back into that budget. I would much rather that we regroup from a budget point of view and actually look what the forecast looked like in sort of 4 months' time. And maybe, I know this is the budget for the year, but actually maybe look at where that budget stands, where we think we may or may not have pots of money, and actually look at being a little bit more creative at that point. We're literally 2 months into the year.
I agree with Phil on that. I'm not really involved in finance, but I do agree with Phil, I'll be honest.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Nigel.
I think we've got the finance regulations, we've got the budget. I think the committees should be sent away to run their little shows, amenities, you know, spending monies in the park, town hall, lining up quotes within the financial regulations, which is, you know, they can spend 5,000 before they,
3/4.
yeah, before they come to full council.
Right. But
I get your idea is to declog the town hall of, you know, get faster decision making. And if something needs to be done in the town hall or the parks under £5,000, the financial regs already allow that.
But does the budget?
Oh yeah, and you've got your budget here. I mean, you've decided how much you're going to spend on, for example, photocopy.
Right.
I agree completely with that.
But the point is that we've already talked about not micromanaging.
Yeah.
And we also, each year, we have the committees proposing their budgets to finance. So there's a process of review. I think 1,300 quid probably sounds to me a bit light for anyone if it's an annual budget.
Mm.
£5 is a bit, must be a bit tight. An amount per item, yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to remember that we have responsibility for managing these things. And I don't see anybody around this table who takes spending decisions lightly.
No.
So I think that there's a risk of shackling too much the individual committees. There's always the possibility to come back if we think something's going wrong and nip it in the bud. But I don't think that we should be working on the basis that we're afraid of what they might do and therefore we stop them doing what they should do.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Nick, last one.
Well, yeah, just a quick one. It plays into the AGAR conversation later, but we can, if we've got budget monitoring in place, we could do a review in 3 months and see where we're up to.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, the responsible finance officer, the clerk, if she saw anything irregular, that's her job to flag it up.
Okay, right. Conscious of time, somebody give me a different motion that I've just said. So we've got the chappers who wants to delegate powers and decision making into the committees. I've said I'd like to see up to £1,500 per item, by the way, not for the annual.
Yeah, I would.
Providing
I would, with a further amendments and support Nigel's view within financial regulations, up to £5,000. I think that's an excellent idea because we've got the legal authority to do it.
and reviewed after
3 months.
3 months. So that's the motion.
That's my motion.
Second.
Yeah, you okay with that?
I don't agree with that.
No.
This is not additional.
No, I know.
I think, but in fairness, Phil, what I would say is that whilst we're delegating this power into these committees, ultimately Jill will decide whether we've actually got the money to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, we will
Checks and balances.
we won't just go right checks left, right, centre, can't cash.
It
It'll
still
be
has
done
to be
properly.
within budget.
Yeah.
If it's not in the budget, then it would have to go to finance.
That's my proposal.
Yeah, my second.
But you don't have very many budget lines in here with £5,000.
No. So what we spend it on.
So you're not going to be spending £5,000.
Up to.
Sorry, I think you've misunderstood me. That committees have a per item maximum of £5,000 within their budget. Any other decision has to come to full council.
Yeah.
So it's not
But you
additional.
haven't, but what Phil's saying, Nigel, is that you haven't got £5,000 in those budgets. So you can't spend up to £5,000.
Yeah.
You can only spend up to the budget you've got that's there anyway.
So if you look at the town hall, you've actually only got 3 cost centres in there with over £5,000.
Yeah, which is probably roof structure and which are the ones
Well,
that you're going to only need to spend on those.
Can I propose a vote?
I'm going to make another note. So for the moment in time, we're going to vote on your motion, and I think we need to come back after we've had a discussion on what we think that the amounts are. Unless somebody gives me
Within financial regulations, and Nigel said what
Nigel
was on.
said up to £5,000. Phil said that some of those budgets haven't got £5,000.
Okay.
So you know, we have to try and find out the medium here.
But you're not
No,
saying
because
up
up to
to
5,000
5,000
is,
or the budget.
3,000 is not 5,000.
That's fair.
It's up to-
That's Jill's just nailed it.
said that, yeah.
Jill's just nailed it.
Yeah.
£5,000 or the maximum in the budget.
That's fine. Okay, right.
I'll go with
So that's the motion that we delegate powers into these individual committees up to £5,000 or the maximum of that budget. All in favour? Okay.
Do you want it noted at the end?
No. No. Okay, the last one is in mind with these. Now, I know that there are potential workarounds to this, but I've spent 28 years working in Federal Mobile with operating procedures, with process operating instructions, and a RAG system, Red Amber Green, you may have all seen it. I hope you've all taken 2 minutes to have a read of them. It's something that I would like this council to consider adopting for use. No, it's not actually. No, I'm not wanting to use it with a stick to beat. I want to use it as a guideline. So, and again, with helping the workload of the staff, if we were able to obtain 3 quotes ourselves to be able to prove why we wanted it, share the load. Now, it's an idea. Again, I haven't got all the answers. I've only had a month of this, so that's what I'm bringing to the table. If you accept it, it will be under review after 6 months, and if it's not working, we can bin it, or you can bin it tonight. It's entirely up to you. It's an idea. But I am open to ideas. We all should be.
Can you just run through it? Can you explain it in a little bit more detail?
Well, yeah, certainly. So, the red, amber, green is that. Sorry, let's start with the standard operating procedure. So, any process, you should be able to put a document in front of you and follow that process all the way through. So, for instance, we want to let's use the parks vehicle as an example.
Yeah.
Before that, we'll come back to the parish council. So, what's the specification? What are we looking to achieve? What are the financials? How's that going to impact the council? Are we going to see improved performance? You sell it to the council. Insurance implications. If we do all that within the committee, so when it comes back to full council, we basically could be looking at a yes or a no decision.
Yeah.
The work's been done. So the standard operating procedure, it's open to amendment. People can change it. But basically, storyline. A man from the shop, from the street should be able to walk in and see how you've arrived at that decision. And then the red, amber, green is basically if you followed all of that and it ticks all the boxes, it's green to go, it's good to go.
Yeah.
If it's amber because there's some things that you need clarification on, it might come to council for discussion and then send back a further amendment, or it's red if we don't tick any of the boxes.
Yeah, fine.
So yes, Michaela.
Who makes the decision on what status that is, red, amber, green?
I think the committee have to do that. We're all grown-ups. I think you have to trust the people that are on these committees. This is a framework.
I like it.
It's just a framework. It's an idea.
That's a good idea.
Focuses people. Sorry, Chair.
No, absolutely. No, I'm fine with that. It's my idea.
That's a good idea. We used to operate in probation all the time. Rag status stuff. Yes, fine. I completely support it. But, and there's a no, and it is a bit of a but. It needs to come back by way of a report. So we can measure it.
Absolutely, yeah.
When I say report, I mean a written report.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that you don't get the same 1 or 2 people doing all the written work all the time. It needs to be shared around a bit. And so that people get up their arse and actually do some work and put together some reports. And it's equally shared.
Absolutely, that's the intention really. So basically when we get to decision making at full council, we're armed with all the information that we need.
Yeah.
And some of the things that have hit this particular meeting in recent times have been very, very skeletal. There's been nowhere near enough meeting for us to make a proper
Some of the
decision.
reports have been hardly worth the paper they've been written on. So it needs to be purpose, objective, aims.
But we're not looking back, we're looking forward, and this is what it's just an idea to help us move forward, right? So Nigel.
I like it. I think one of my emails, I forget the author that I started off with.
Probably Socrates or Plato or
the one to leave.
Yeah, the general idea was the same, that we lay out good reasons why we stay around.
Yeah. Okay.
You actually did in that, and that meets this need using your principles that you highlighted. I did read that.
Well,
And I thought,
Almost enough.
in fairness, what Nigel highlighted, and I took time to go back to it, thought that's exactly.
Was this Hemingway or was this?
No, it doesn't really matter, Mike. What it matters is that when we talk about reports don't have to be long, drawn out things. If they meet the principles that Nigel put forward, and I was, when we were talking about this, I was going to suggest that we look at that as a motion to include those as the principles, because it does the work for you. It does the work for you.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with. I'm happy to second this.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes over
Yeah.
6 months. And
Yeah. All in favour?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right, so, 8:15, it's 8:15 now. Right, let's see. We should really consider going into
And we've got the payments and stuff that comes through.
Fine.
well, we need to go into finance, don't we? So which
I know, there you go.
Green sheet.
we need to do.
Oh, we still need to do 1800.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to do that.
7089 finance.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, so it's 27089, we're going into that now, and that's A to J. Is that right, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what we need to do, so. Oh, okay, 27089A, finance, to authorise the schedule of accounts presented for payment.
Can I ask an EB question? Have any of these been paid?
Not this one.
No,
Well,
not the,
actually, Wednesday. So the, obviously, the direct debits are, but the rest of them, salaries have taken out, because we get paid at a certain time, but no, these are waiting for you lot to say, okay, and then should have
So,
ready
would I be right in saying, if we were to, I mean, I'm not going to vote against any of these, but if we were to vote against these at this stage, we'd effectively be reneging on, stuff that's already happened.
Yeah, this is
Fuel
the things we
bills.
have.
we would be withholding the payment, Nigel.
Yes.
I think the other thing about this is this goes back to the question of giving responsibility to the committees.
Yes.
If we've decided they've got the
Yeah.
authority to do that, unless we can see an immediate reason not to, we shouldn't even be discussing these.
Yeah, you're right. You're dead right.
No, but the financial report says that you should be furnished with these each month so you know where the money has gone.
Okay, so that can be
Yeah,
circulated.
You know,
we
as
have
a-
to, we have to have this
As a
pantomime of going
notification
through
to
it.
Jill.
It's
not about
payment.
It's not the actual payment of it.
Excuse me, so I
Sorry.
can keep up. Too many people speaking, one at a time, please. Right, who wants to speak first? Nick, go.
Just a quick one. Are we still adopting the practice of moving the money around, because we have over 300,000 in the SBI account and only up to 85,000 is covered? We did open, I remember that was one of the things we did when I was a parish councillor, just in case any sort of Trump presses any number of buttons.
Isn't that against personal accounts rather than business
No,
accounts?
that's why we opened the that's why we've got the different accounts, we opened these separate accounts so that.
No, that's fine.
Have we not? Oh, right, okay.
We
Yeah.
have just now.
Oh, is that, oh, right, that's brilliant, that's just come in, that's it.
But noted, yeah, Right, so back to the sheet, can I have someone who's going to...
I have some questions.
Oh, sorry.
So, against town hall and admin and against premises, so the first item and the last item for water and total energies, they're both at 0. Is that actually correct?
Yeah, they haven't billed us this month, and maybe the council haven't taken the public purpose of those out. I think it just lands, sometimes it lands on like a weekend, sometimes it doesn't come out till after the end of the
I just wanted
month.
to check it was
Yeah.
correct that they're in there at a
Yeah.
zero. The other one I wanted to check under premises, so just about halfway down the page, is the council tax flat, against the flat cost
Oh, yeah.
centre 1168 is actually repairs and maintenance of the flat. When I looked at the cost centre report,
Yeah, because it's not a utility, so we put it in there because it's an anomaly, isn't it? We don't normally have to pay it. So, and we didn't want to open a new line just for that for a few months. So
okay, let's say I just wanted to
stuck
double,
it in there
I just
because
wanted to
it's-
double check. Yeah,
because it's being paid while we're doing repairs and maintenance. Kind of
okay.
thing.
I think those are really much for us.
Any more?
No.
Proposer? Tommy Dales, proposed. Seconder, please. Nigel has seconded it. All in favour? Passed.
Can I just add to Phil there for him? I've just had a look at the High Peak Borough one, Phil. It's the 15th of the month when that goes out.
Yeah,
That we see it, so.
so it's just a sense check.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it is, it's 15th of the month
yeah.
when it goes out.
40 minutes, councillors. Right. To note the actual year-to-date income and expenditure against the budget, 27089B.
You want this one? Okay,
And again, I've got a question
Okay.
on there, if I could.
Yeah, what time, please, yeah?
It was just looking at the staff costs, so the top of each of the expenditures. Looks like we're running over by,
Yeah, I
Quite
need
a
to, I
lot.
want to look at the,
so
I wanna look at that.
14% on the first and
Yeah.
16 on the second. If you added that up across the year, that percentage is around £16,000.
Yeah, I put that in at 6 today,
Okay.
and I knew that it looked really odd, but I thought you'd probably rather have something than nothing. So I do need to, when it round, I just say there's a caveat to it, and that's
Yeah.
the salaries,
Okay.
because it does look a bit odd.
Okay, next one. Let's go, Mike. Have you got your hand up, Mike? Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Oh, all right, okay. Nigel.
Yes, so rent received from 47 to 49 Market Street. At some point, are we going to rejig the budget? Because it looks like this is going to go on a while.
Yes, we'll reforecast, by the end of June, we're probably going to
That's what I'm saying about
reforecast,
the
aren't we? Yeah, we'll
reforecast, yeah.
reforecast at the end of June.
Thank you. Any more questions? Do we need a little bit more time so we're reading it before?
No.
Oh, someone, are you okay with moving on? No? Yep. Yeah, you, well, everyone okay? John? To consider members' allowances for 26-27. I propose that the chairman gets 15,000.
You can authorise that yourself.
No seconders. Okay. Seriously, Nigel?
So most councillors don't claim their members' allowance in this parish council, and in every other council I've served on, I've spoken against members' allowances because I think that they are a terrible incentive for councillors to stay longer than they should do in better paid councils. In this council, I would vote in favour of these members' allowances if we just made one small change, which is to change the name of it to a hardship allowance. Because I think calling it something neutral like members' allowance encourages people to claim that allowance and then spend it on charity or some other donation. Whereas I think there's a better solution to that, which is to spend more of the council's money on charity.
What's some of these money on fuel and stuff like, it's not really hard.
It's taxpayers' money.
If you get the bus and whatever, they go to expenses.
So the councillors can claim expenses as well.
Not within the
No,
parish.
not within the parish.
So like if we have a meeting at Dove Holes, you've got to pay for your own fuel to go to Dove Holes. Or the bus or whatever.
It's not really hard.
That's where my mum used to claim it because of that. Whereas if you go out of the parish, i.e. you've got a meeting in Buxton or Baypool or down in Stockport, you can then, like when they went to court, you can claim that as a train fare or bus fare. But if it's travel within the parish, you can't.
Or your own phone costs, or your own printing, or all of that.
Because I must admit, I did claim mine, I also was, and I spent it on getting a driving licence so we could do the banking and everything. We needed a photo, didn't we, Emma?
So Nigel's put forward that we call it hardship. I'm not sure. My motion would be just
Leave it as it is.
Leave it as it is. I think we've got bigger fish to.
Yeah.
I mean, we've only got this year to go,
Yeah, we have, yes.
Definitely.
which will be November.
So Nigel's made a proposal. I'm going to make a second amendment to his proposal. Leave it as it is. So as mine is second, all in favour? That one.
Well,
Okay,
I'll send yours, yeah.
So that's good. Thank you. D, to receive the internal auditor's report for the financial year 2025-26.
I propose to note that.
Noted. All in favour, yeah? Anybody else? Sound? To approve, we all okay, yeah? Yeah, right, yeah. To approve the council's governance statement, E. Nigel?
Before I raise my concerns about assertions 1 and 2 in the government statement, I want to say something clearly.
Should this still be recorded?
Yes.
Yeah, this bit's in the...
I want to say something clearly. The internal audit report contains significant praise for the council's administration. It says the parish operates in a well-run and compliant manner. It says administrative records were provided promptly and were well organised. It describes the clerk's performance as exemplary, reflecting competence, diligence, and a strong understanding of regulatory responsibilities. It also recognises that a considerable amount of work has been done over the last couple of years, and that most of the previous internal audit recommendations have been put into place. I think councillors should recognise that. Running a parish council of this size is not simple. The office has to deal with accounts, agendas, minutes, staff, buildings, parks, legal matters, residents, policies, contractors and councillors all at once. Much of that work is invisible when it goes well and very visible when something goes wrong. I don't want to say anything tonight, and I don't want anything to be heard as a personal criticism of the clerk, the assistant clerk or the wider staff team. I'm grateful for the work they do. But the annual governance statement is not a staff appraisal. It's a formal statement by councillors. It asks us whether we as a council had proper arrangements in place during the year, and that responsibility rests with us. I want to focus on assertions 1 and 2. Assertion 1 asks whether the council put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. In plain English, that means we should have set a budget, monitored income and expenditure against that budget, understood significant changes and taken decisions when the financial position moved materially away from that which had been agreed. The year-end budget shows a serious movement in the council's position. It shows budgeted income of £682,907 and actual income of £521,987. It shows budgeted expenditure of £576,739 and actual expenditure of £558,469. On those figures, the council moved from a budgeted surplus of £106,168 to an actual deficit of £36,482, and that's an adverse movement of £142,650. Much of that appears to relate to the Public Works Loans Board loan, the PWLB loan, the budget included 150,000 of PWLP income, but the actual figure was nil, with the comment that the drawdown facility is not taken. I'm not saying tonight that the loan should or should not have been drawn. That's a separate question. My point is about governance. If a budget assumes £150,000 of loan income and that assumption changes, the council should be asked to consider the financial effect. It should be minuted. Councillors should be shown what it means for the surplus or deficit, reserves and cash flow. I cannot find a minuted discussion of that decision. I cannot find a minuted explanation of its effect on the year-end position. If such a minute exists, I would be very happy to be corrected. But if it does not exist, then I do not see how we can say that councillors had effective financial management arrangements during the year. The same issue arises with the legal fees. The year-end report shows a legal fees budget of £200,000 and actual expenditure of £228,590. That's an overspend of £28,590. Given the history of legal costs in this council and the burden placed on residents, an overspend of nearly £30,000 should not pass silently into the accounts at year end. Our financial regulations say the agreed budget is the basis for monitoring progress through the year. They also say that expenditure must not be authorised beyond the budget for that type of expenditure other than by resolution of the council, except in an emergency. Again, I'm not saying that the individual legal invoices were necessarily wrong. Of course, at that stage, they needed to be paid. I'm saying that I cannot find a minuted resolution authorising that overspend, or a minuted discussion explaining why it was necessary, what options were available, and what corrective action was considered. All that matters for assertion 1, because financial management is not simply recording what happened after the event. It means councillors being given the opportunity to understand and control material movements during the year. It also matters for assertion 2. Assertion 2 asks whether the council maintained an adequate system of internal control. I want to use careful language. I'm not alleging fraud, and I do not think that it has occurred. I'm not alleging corruption, and I do not think it has occurred. I'm not suggesting bad faith by staff or by members. But internal control is there precisely so that public money is protected by systems, not by trust alone. Staff reimbursements illustrate this problem. In September, the schedule included payment to a staff member for VJ Day celebrations reimbursement, gross £362.52. In November, the schedule included payment to another staff member for reimbursement, football goal posts and nets, gross £722.93. In December, the schedule included a payment to the first staff member again for reimbursement, Christmas decorations and refreshments, gross £370.20. These have all been for legitimate purposes. VJ Day, football equipment and Christmas events are not inherently improper, but that's not the point. The issue is whether the council's own rules were followed before the expenditure was incurred. Our financial regulations say that personal credit or debit cards of members of staff should not be used except for expenses of up to £250, including VAT, incurred in accordance with council policy. They also say that work, goods and services above £250, excluding VAT, should normally be supported by an official order or written instruction, and that authorisation should be supported by a minute or other auditable evidence trail. I've not seen minutes of pre-authorisation for these reimbursements, if it exists, it should be identified tonight. But if it does not, then the council was not controlling the expenditure at the point where control matters. It was being asked to approve reimbursement afterwards. That's an important distinction. Approving a schedule of payments may authorise money to leave the bank. It does not necessarily prove that the original purchase was properly authorised before the liability was incurred. Taken together, these issues are not about one receipt, one line, or one member of staff. They point to a wider weakness in councillor oversight. We have reimbursements above the personal card threshold without visible prior authority. We have 28,590 legal fees overspend without a visible council resolution authorising expenditure beyond budget. We have a £150,000 loan assumption not happening without visible minute of discussion of the effect on council's financial position. We then have a year-end report in which the surplus or deficit variance does not appear to show the true movement between budget and actual. That's why I cannot support a clean yes to assertions 1 or 2. A no answer is not an attack on the clerk or assistant clerk. It's not a rejection of the hard work recognised in the internal audit report. In fact, it may be the fairest thing for staff because it places responsibility where it belongs, with councillors who must set the framework, ask the questions, receive the reports and make the decisions. The internal audit report shows that much has improved and we should be grateful for that. It also says there is a clear financial grasp of what is happening in the parish and good reference to financial matters in the minutes, while recommending that budget monitoring should be attached or inserted into the minutes for transparency and completeness. That recommendation matters. So I end where I begin. I thank the clerk, the assistant clerk and the staff team for their work, and I recognise that progress has been made, but the AGAR asks councillors to make an honest governance judgment on the evidence before me, unless clear minutes are produced tonight showing prior authority, proper budgetary approval and proper reporting of these material matters. I ask councillors to answer no to assertion 1 and no to assertion 2 and to agree corrective action for the coming year.
Thank you, Nigel. I wasn't expecting that, so would you like to respond to that?
No, not really. No, I mean it was all discussed, but he's probably right, it wasn't limited. But we did discuss about the loan drawdown several times. We knew
I'm going to say to some of this, I can answer
Sure,
with
sure.
Just speaking.
Jules speaking, and that's quite rude, that.
Sorry.
Please. Sorry, Jill.
Yeah, so I was just saying that it was discussed, the loan drawdown was discussed with we needed to do it. We kept an eye on the bank to make sure that we wasn't putting ourselves in financial difficulty. But you're probably right, probably it's not been minuted properly. The personal cards, we got a debit card, as Michaela highlighted that as well. So we've now got a debit card for things like that. The goalposts were paid for, but a lot of the stuff was paid for with grant, so it was grant funded. The goalposts came from Little Cherubs, the VJ taken from High Peak Garden Council. But yeah, you've got a point. I wouldn't personally think that it's that severe that you need to put no. But you know, it's not my decision. I haven't
Can I just suggest one point that might add something to it, which is that the council has a history of people challenging these AGOs. I think if we ourselves were to point out the mistakes, that it may well stop that challenge and we ourselves get to put what we are going to do about
I
it.
mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but it's not the end of the world to do anything.
It's not.
No,
No.
Okay.
doesn't.
That was
no
what
one's
I was
gonna-
going to
No
ask.
one's going to get a ruler out of
Sorry.
hands.
Okay. So Nick,
We do have up until 30th of June.
we do.
And then from 1st of July, the documents need to be published. So, from my perspective, it was a lot of stuff to go. It's a lot of stuff to go through, isn't it? So I would have liked to have postponed and reschedule.
Mike.
It's a very well constructed letter, Nigel, and who can disagree with the word of it, because you've obviously given it a great deal of thought and you've done a great deal of research, and so I wouldn't contest anything that you've actually said whatsoever. You've heard what Jules had to say. You're probably right. It wasn't minuted, perhaps, but at the time, under extraordinary pressure in an unprecedented set of circumstances, the council has been kept afloat by Jill's diligence, hard work and commitment at a time when many people would have walked away. The extreme pressure that Jill's been under, to do with the court case and a whole range of other factors that I'm not going to go into here, that we all know about, and the degree of feeling at times around this table, and people in particular that have left, have actually put an enormous burden on somebody. And the fact that Jill has been able to stay the course and work so hard diligently and come out with a very, very clear acknowledgement of her value to this council and how she's moved things forward is to her credit and her testimony. And I'm pleased that you've actually said that and you've actually acknowledged that, because you haven't criticised Jill or Emma in any way. And I think what you've done is actually make a valid point. I think where you closed your remark, you said about how can we learn from this, or what measures we can put in place for next year. And I think that you're genuinely coming from that position. And I accept and I agree with you that you've actually highlighted something very articulately, very well researched, that can actually move us forward and in the spirit of doing it properly. And I think Jill herself has acknowledged that. And I think that what's your contribution just now has been actually very useful, because it isn't about Jill, it's not about Emma, it's about systems, and it's about how those systems are applied and monitored. So I think we've moved mountains tonight, and I've got an extremely good feeling going forward, sitting around this table, listening to and participating in the discussions of how this council's going to move. So well done for bringing it up, but well done, Jill. Well done. Full stop. I sent an email last night before anybody else saying I really value it and thank you, and I stick by every word in that email. I think it's a learning experience. We are where we are, and we can use that as a basis to learn from it. So, as they said in the Bugs Bunny cartoon, that's not false.
Thank you. Chris and then Tony.
Brief point. I don't wish to sound as if I'm making this personal, but I thank Nigel for your analysis of what's happened in the last year. But God knows if you'd done it the year before, or before Jill took over the reins, that would have been a damn sight more scathing, and it would have been, really would have highlighted dreadful weaknesses. I think that we have to recognise that although there are still deficiencies to be rectified, we're on the right trajectory, but we must keep on improving.
Thank you, Chris. Tony.
I'm just going to focus in my time as chair, and I'm glad you've actually come out in the way that you have, as I've sat alongside Jill. The thing that does bother me is that we know, and I know, that in waiting in the wings are individuals who are going to make our life a misery if they get any opportunity to challenge, and it will create a massive amount of work, as it does, and it takes away Jill's ability to get on with the day-to-day stuff, dealing with freedom of information, etc., etc. And I'm concerned that we play into that person's hands. And Jill said it doesn't really matter if we vote no. I'm a bit torn, to be honest with you, but I do know what the impact of playing into these individual lands. So we all know, don't we?
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about. And I'm, as I say, I'm torn, but Chair, I am concerned about that.
And I realise also that this meeting is being recorded. I'm glad about that because it's open, it's
Absolutely.
transparent and it's honest. And systems, or lack of them, that Jill inherited when she came here has been, as we all know, has been a very
Okay.
significant problem.
Well, I'm conscious of time, but actually I think the first porcupine I told the chairman was it might finish at 9 o'clock. We'll have to revisit that one.
Okay.
So that was F, Nigel. Yeah.
Can I, so I said in my closing remarks, that we should answer no to assertion 1 and 2 and to agree corrective action for the coming year.
Yeah.
Can I suggest what that correction action should be?
You can suggest it by all means. Yeah.
The council should introduce quarterly minuted budget monitoring,
Right.
which I think is already going to happen. Require council approval for material variances and overspends, which I'm sure will happen, and ensure that reimbursements above £250 are not made without prior written authority and a full audit trail, which, from what I've heard, is what's going to happen. The final point is councillors will be asked to complete councillor essentials training during 2026-27, with completion reviewed by the council before the next AGAR.
Anybody got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nigel? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I know, yeah.
how long is it, councillor the councillor essentials? If you do, how long should that take?
I think it's,
It's 2 hours, I think.
2 hours. So,
You do it
I mean,
as a
again, to be fair, if it only takes 2 hours, there's no point leaving it for a whole year. Potentially, you're giving us all a year to do it. It should be done in the next, I don't know, the next 6 weeks or something.
it depends when.
Dell. It's a Dell.
Oh, is it? Can you not do it online?
Don't know about provide the date.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Can we not get in touch with Doug and ask them to put
Yeah.
it on for 13 councils?
Yeah, we do pay him
Yeah,
£2
we
grand a
could
year.
do
don't we?
actually. Well,
Yeah.
we charge probably, but...
Do you know, I was thinking,
But it might be cheaper than, mind you, we pay the enhanced subscription.
Yeah. if we find out how much it is, I think that'll be money well spent.
Yeah, she's on it.
No message to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, smashing. Right, so thank you, Nigel. I appreciate your time. I really do.
It was worth all those Rosales letters in the end.
Well, I'm not sure it was actually. Well, a minute and a half.
Do you want to vote?
Yeah, we're going to vote on so this, I'm just making sure we're still on F. Yeah, all those in favour of what Nigel has just proposed, please raise your hand. And all those against? Well, nobody's got
Some
so
abstaining.
So I think it's important, just as we before we move forward, it's important to acknowledge the word Jill and put into that. I thought it was very well delivered, Nigel, thank you. And actually, that's the kind of delivery that's going to help us move forward as a council.
Yeah.
It's constructive,
Mm.
there's an end to it, there's no finger pointing.
Mm.
And collectively, what I took from that actually wasn't really about Clark or this Clark. It was us as councillors have a duty to act as an extra set of eyes for all these things, and we've not done that. So that's where my focus is on going to first. So thank you. Right, okay. G, to note the variance analysis. Anybody got anything they'd like to add on that? Nigel?
Can I propose that we note these?
Noted. G's noted. H. Noted. The rest all the way down noted. Oh, sorry. H noted. To note the dates for publication, the AGAR will commence on the 4th of June.
Can I just point out there's a typo on I?
Yeah, it's not 25, it's 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could see that. So to note the dates for publication, the unaudited AGAR will commence on the 4th of June and end on the 15th of July.
Well, we've said no, we voted on no anyway, so we can publish it now, can't we? What we're going to do. That's been just done on that.
Smashing, right, and to appoint an internal auditor for 26-27, which is J.
Yeah, just
Can-
doubt, 'cause
Delk.
Don't we get told by the Borough Council who we can use or anything? No.
you can use whoever you want.
Well, we've kept using the same one, haven't we?
Well, we use doubt, but it's not always the same entity.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
true.
their audit service.
Yes,
we don't
that's
get
what
the
I'm on
same
about.
entity. Yeah.
So all in favour of carrying on with Delk, please?
Yeah.
Okay, that's thank you, Jill. So that's that one done. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like us to do before we move into release? Well,
Or at least request. It'll be on a press range one,
at least. 2624. 26424, before we move into the final one, is to consider a purchase or lease of a commercial van for park staff, see the March papers. So, I'm going to open the floor up. Tony.
Yeah, we come from an health and safety point of view, which was well documented at the time. I just thought this was a lovely sort of no check, because there is that health and safety consideration. I believe that Emma's done a significant amount of work. She's liaised with Mark, liaised with Phil, they've identified vehicles. They've identified the reason that you need that particular vehicle. It's been discussed, and it just seems to have gone into a void. And this guy still is half expected to excuse upon to pick up Dublin in his own vehicle.
Thank you, Tony. Nick.
So I wasn't here in March. Where are you up to? Or where is the vehicle up to? What has been decided? What we waiting to buy? Lease?
We decided on the vehicle what's suitable for the job.
Yeah.
We've gone with pros and against on
Yeah.
another vehicle that we looked at originally. We realised that weren't suitable for jobs, we went for a transit, so we agreed that we've got the perfect van, we looked online,
Yeah.
we found the perfect van, we're ready for buying. Sadly I went to the last meeting, so I don't know where that's actually gone now. But the lease is, going back to Jason, it's a better decision if we can lease one because it's all taken care of, service.
Yeah.
You know, there's responsibility out of our hands. So I do agree with lease. So, sorry mate, I think it's a case of picking up the phone and say, can we come and pick it up?
Yeah.
Someone ready to get the thing around, do that side of it. That's where we're up to, I think, guys.
Right, okay. So Phil.
So from my perspective, when we first talked about this in March, the request was for kind of like a little caddy van, like a two-man van. And I raised a question about, whether a Polaris vehicle that could be used across the parks and so on may be sufficient, they see a couple of people being a bit more flexible. What came back as the proposal was actually wanted a full-size transit pickup. So it is a sizable change from where we
It was
first
the
started.
equipment, we didn't feel the equipment. was
Yeah, so I'm saying it was which is fine,
Yeah, so we
but I'm
thought
saying,
it was
referring
Yeah,
back to
right.
March
Yeah.
papers,
Yeah.
we have actually deviated quite a lot from where we were. So actually, the delay has probably been too long.
Yeah.
We agree, but actually
Yeah.
the delay was appropriate because there's been more due diligence done around what vehicle is required. That would be my view on it.
So, did the staff? So the staff provided a spec because
They provided the initial spec, and
Right.
then when we asked to revisit it, they came back with an alternative
Right.
suggestion for a different type of vehicle.
It was stolen.
Which is fine, but at least they've gone through that process. which hadn't happened before.
Giving no storage for the Polaris and no storage, so you've got your little shed where you keep them all. So,
I'm listening. So
How does it, can I just, oh wait a minute, so this, because we've done this before, we did this, we found out that Michael Barton has got a vehicle that couldn't pull the trailer.
Yeah.
How does Polaris pull a trailer?
No, so we
that's the other thing, it can't, not legally.
So what we're saying is actually,
Right.
the point is, where we were in March, the vehicle would not have been appropriate.
Yeah.
That conversation now is, by me throwing a wild card in,
Yeah.
has actually produced and identified the vehicle that they believe would be fit to purpose. It's called two-ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the little caddy van or whatever it was,
Yeah.
I'm going to call it an escort van,
Right.
but show me edge that, wouldn't have been appropriate
Okay.
for that. Okay.
Can we just go and get it?
Yeah, please.
So here's my issue. Absolutely, 100% behind us getting a Parks vehicle. Absolutely 100%. But we've been asked tonight, with no information, to make a decision. How much is it going to cost to insure this vehicle? How much have we got in the budget for that vehicle? How much is it? I haven't got that here. No, Jill has, maybe Jill. I haven't, I've got that here. So my concern is that these decisions need to be made properly.
Yeah.
And there's an element of urgency about this.
Yeah.
So if we don't do it tonight, what I'm going to say is that we form a working group with a deadline of 7 to 10 days, that you go away, you come back, you do it, you put it properly, it ticks all the boxes that Nigel's been speaking about. I get it minuted. No, anyway.
Right, so who was on the, so I've done a bit of work already on the parish council vehicle. Ford Ranger came out top, a lease vehicle, and they were doing really good rates on it, which can send.
Again, it's the equipment exposed, so unless it concealed the back on, you can't keep edge clippers and trimmers on it and stuff. If it leaves a vehicle, it's vulnerable.
I'll send you the report.
Yeah, so you need something with like a container
Yeah, it's got
on
to
it.
be contained
Right,
equipment, just in case it leaves
Right,
it.
so I can add that into the mix and
Yeah,
see
well,
what the thing
yeah.
comes back out with, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do we really need a working group, or can somebody around this table who knows enough about it say, I'm going to own it?
Yeah.
Tell you Mark, I'll work with Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It sounds perfect, yeah, bang
I'm
on,
up to
perfect.
Mark on it.
Yeah, sound.
Right, so what timescale?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty.
Proposal
Plenty.
in front of the council
Yeah, yeah.
within 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
Costed,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
All I was going to say was, with me being down at hospital today, I don't know where you've looked at for vehicles and that, but down at Bellevue there, as you come through, the van centre, today, they've got a big sign up, there must have been at least 150 different types of vans there, and I would have said it was worth looking at to see if the model that they want is there, because at least you get a price and everything, and they do sales or leasing there.
Feedback.
Bellevue.
Yeah, the one at Bellevue. There must have been 150 vans
Is
there.
it only Phil that's driving it? Would it be like on an any driver, the insurance?
Any driver.
Yeah.
What's cheaper?
Right,
Yeah, brilliant.
thank you.
Yeah, that's fair point. You can go and look at the tires and stuff as well.
May as well. Someone needs to just
Not
Round
just
check.
like it, so-
just
Yeah,
do it.
we'll do it, maybe we'll do it. Yeah.
Honestly, then that's the most
Right, okay, 2057, we're a little bit behind time, but we'll get better, promise. So we are about to determine which items, if any, from the agenda should be taken with the public excluded. We agreed earlier that it would be 27 or 85. If Nigel can turn